Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. I'm Sara Davies, your moderator for today's event, and we're absolutely thrilled to have a dynamic leader joining us today, our very own Chief People Officer, Michaël Masset. Michaël has been a driving force in guiding organizations through transformation and innovation, and we're really excited to hear his insights today. Our theme for today's session is about leading through change, and we'll look at exploring strategies for managing change effectively, learn from Michaël's past experiences, but also look ahead to new opportunities. And of course, since we're closing out the end of the year, we're going to add a touch of holiday cheer and some personal reflections to the mix. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our guest, Michaël Masset. Michaël, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Sara, and hello. It's a real pleasure also for me to participate, and certainly on a very interesting topic.
Look, we know that change is a constant, both in life and in business, and it's something that leaders and teams face regularly. So, love to hear from you. How do you personally approach managing change?
That's a really good question. Thank you, Sara. Indeed, as you mentioned, in the past, a few decades or a few years ago, change was really an event, something exceptional. Today, change is, like you were mentioning, everywhere, which means that we just need to recognize the world is changing in a very fast way for all the different aspects. Another important point explaining why it's important is that in the past, we were facing one crisis after another crisis. Today, we are facing all the crises at the same time, which means that we need to be ready to first be in difficult time and facing a need to change. To answer your question and how I am doing it, it's, I think, with two few motto in my head. The first one is certainly that for me, I am a positive thinker, and I am always positive, and I try to be always positive also in difficult time, because it's only by looking the opportunities, the possibilities, the solutions, instead of looking the difficulties, the barriers, the constraints, and the problems, that you are able to face and to change a different point. And also the second item for me is that you must recognize that it's impossible for you to have an impact on everything. You have impact on several things, and you must only focus your attention and your energy on the problem and the topics on which you have control. If you are not doing that, you are losing your energy on point on which you have no control, which means that it's not the right way. That would be my two first points on that and how I am managing it.
I totally agree, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's about focusing on what you can control. That is probably what helps you kind of cultivate more of a positive mindset, because the fear of the unknown and change often does bring a lot of challenges, and some are bigger more than others. You know, we see it in the world every day. Having said that, can you share a story from your career, or maybe even your personal life, Michaël, that where managing change was really difficult? How did you navigate through it? What kept you going?
The anecdote I would share with you is one I faced in 2008 when I was working in the financial sector. We were having in September 2008 a big event about the future, the deployment of the financial institution in which I was working. We made a big event with all the top executives of the bank, and it was like an American show. It was really with a lot of energy, looking for the future, and really in a very positive way to expand the business. That was end of September 2008. And 5 days after, the company was bankrupt, hurted by the
Financial crisis,
Lehman Brothers situation, etc. When you are working in the HR department of a company in that kind of situation, it's really difficult because the people were completely lost.
Yeah,
The fact that the speech and the communication done 5 days before was totally not
such a
in,
contradiction, isn't it?
absolutely,
Oh my goodness.
absolutely. And
That's really
because the
funny.
affectio societatis of all the people there was very high, people were really working, living for their company. The shock was really a very important one. And to navigate in this difficult time, what you need to develop is authenticity, following my point of view. You must be authentic with the people. You must really deliver the message in the most transparent way to all the stakeholders, your team, the employee you are managing as HR, and also the unions, because we had a union representative, and that's what we have done, and what explained that this crisis was really, it's an incredible way for me to have learned a lot of things,
Yeah.
to rapidly evolve in difficult times.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the right sort of mindset. Whilst obviously it's a unpleasant thing to go through, you know, challenges enable you as an individual to grow. They can sometimes be perceived, you can perceive it as a blessing in disguise. I think, you know, often it's important to keep that mindset, but it's challenging, you know, and it's also difficult to keep teams motivated as well during these periods of uncertainty. You know, motivation is really hard to maintain. What's one key lesson you've learned, obviously from this experience, but I'm sure there have been others as well, to keep teams focused and inspired when the waters are getting choppy?
In that kind of circumstances, but in all circumstances, what I'm always saying as a first point for a leader, it's to lead by example.
Yeah,
You are not asking the other what you are not able to do yourself.
yeah,
That's my first point. And it's linked to authenticity, because you cannot say to a person, you do that, and doing exactly the contrary. That's not possible, certainly not for me. The second point is also help your people to continue to be curious, to be open, because it's the curiosity which is participating to the positive mindset, and also to the fact to be ready to change. All our team are human beings, and the
yeah,
human beings, except some very few little exceptions, people don't like to change, which means that there is always a first resistance for a change, and you need to help your team by explaining them why, by explaining them how we will go through that, why it's important to deliver the change, that you are really making your job of leader, because you are embarking them in the trip, and progressively, the more you are working with your team, the more you are creating really a strong SWAT team to deliver the change, and they are becoming really the people having the transformer mindset,
yeah,
because that's very important. But it's not immediately evident. It's something you are building
yeah.
weeks after weeks, and it's important to be the leader, showing the way.
Yeah, I think it's that sort of encouragement and influencing them to get out of their comfort zones as well, because obviously out of your comfort zone is where you see growth in people. I'm just thinking back to what you said about, you know, obviously the financial crisis story, but, you know, and obviously how employees are humans, but leaders are also humans. How did you cope in that, actually? I'd love to know, like, what were your coping strategies during that significant change that took place?
Of course, we have, and it's important to recognize that we have our own emotions.
Exactly.
And I really believe that knowing how you are reacting with your own emotion is allowing you also to understand that other people could have other emotions, which means that you are understanding why people could react in certain way in front of the same problem than you, and it's not the same reaction, and that's normal, because we are all different. Just recognizing the emotions, it's also knowing that you will need to take time for you just to think about and admit the situation. But when it's done, and it's something normally I'm doing with my friends and family or alone, you are in a correct way with yourself. You are, how can I say that? You have a certain serenity with your own person, which means that you can face the other and you can be in a positive mindset. And what you know that when we are meeting and we're starting by how are you, etc., I am always answering, everything is okay. It's perfect. I'm fine. Thank you. Always fine. Because it's the positive mindset I have every morning when starting my day. And it's important because it's giving a positive message to the team. And it's also giving you your positive mindset reactivated in the morning. That's
I
what
totally
probably.
agree. I totally agree. And it's sort of you kind of attract that energy as well when you're, when you're positive. There's a saying as well, like, a teacher is only as good as their student, right? And behind every great leader is often a mentor. And I'd be keen to hear from you. You've kind of shared some great insights, had an impressive career, working with global brands, to the big four. Do you have any mentors that have really shaped your leadership style, particularly when it comes to navigating change?
I would say that first, working with other leaders, and certainly when you are taking the leadership of the people function, it's a great opportunity to learn a lot about the other, the way they are thinking, the way they are analyzing situation, the way they are reacting, the solution they are providing every day without making a specific exercise, but every day I am learning a lot and I am changing my own way to think about and to react and to act in the different function I had, which means that I have not as such a mentor, but every leader had or has a positive and sometimes a less positive impact on me and on the way I'm seeing the business. But if you want to really nominate some people on some leader, I would say that being in the financial sector in 2008, and also because they helped me to grow until the C-level function, I would say that Philippe Rucheton and Claude Piret, the CFO and Chief Financial Officer and the Chief Risk Officer of the institution in which I were in 2008, were really people helping me to grow and to take new responsibility in a very difficult time. And for that, it's a form of mentorship. And I remember having had a lot of discussion with them around specific question, how to react in front of the shareholders, in front of the state representative, etc. And they were always there to help me.
That's great to know. And Philippe, if you're watching, just a big shout out. I like that point that you mentioned at the start around, of course, we're always learning from our colleagues. We're surrounded by fabulous talent, and I know that obviously working in this team. But I also think that reverse mentorship is something that I'm sort of a big proponent of. We have a lot of folks in our industry that are Gen Z that I'm learning from. And I think that mentorship goes both ways. There's that reverse mentorship from the Gen Z, but of course, always grateful for those who've got more expertise. So great to hear that, Michael. This time of year is often marked by a period of reflection and celebration. If we look back to 2024, what would you say you're most proud of, both professionally and personally?
Yeah, it would link with what I said in the introduction. The world is really experiencing several crises on the same time. This situation is really creating anxiety for everybody, and especially for the people with whom you have the opportunity or the pleasure to work. We have the economical crisis, the environmental crisis, the political crisis, and everything is complex. I have really the feeling that the world is experiencing the end of a cycle. It's more and more difficult to find solutions. as in all the aspects, and that's really something we must recognize in our industry. For example, after the strikes of 23, it's not easy, but the most important point is that we have with us in all our teams very strong people with whom it's a pleasure to work, it's an honor to work. And that's probably what I would highlight. It's the quality, the resilience of the team that we have in our company, but in our industry. Because today, if you are not resilient in front of all the crises I described, it's difficult. It's really difficult, personally and professionally. And that's something we must recognize for sure.
I totally agree. I mean, you've got to be resilient, I think, up against change, and certainly in the industry that we work in. And yes, massive shout out to the teams for showing incredible resilience and strength over the last year.
If I may, just on a personal point of view,
yes,
I really have the pleasure to have a family challenging me when it's needed, which means very often, explaining me when I am not reasonable, and supporting me every day. That's also participating to being a normal human being leader.
Yes, I can certainly empathize there, Michael, especially if you've got teenagers there. It's constant.
Exactly.
It's constant. Looking forward as well. So, I mean, look, the holiday period means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So having said that, do you have any, looking to your sort of personal insights here, do you have any favorite holiday traditions or ways that you like to unwind and recharge during this time of year?
Yeah, first, I already took the opportunity to do what I love to do, which is really visiting Disneyland Paris when it's Christmas.
Nice.
It's just beautiful. Just taking one day or 2 days, but going in Main Street and really looking all the light and the decoration. The plan for 2024 are really calm because my two sons are studying, and they must really study for January. I will be there to do my favorite job, which is to be a father.
Oh, I love that. Brilliant. And do you think they'll study, Michael? Get loads of teenagers into a room. It's quite difficult to get them to concentrate on their schoolwork. I know that.
Yeah, indeed.
So as we look ahead to 2025 as well, what's one thing that you're really looking forward to, both in your role as CPO for Technicolor Group and, if you want to share also personally?
I would say that when you are managing an incredible team of HR people, you really want to develop the people, to develop the skills of the different team of the business units, and that's the focus I would like to have the opportunity to explore in 2025 with you and with the team, is really to offer opportunities for the people who want, because it's a personal decision to upscale, to discover other things, because it's part of what I call the curiosity, the adaptability. If you are curious, if you want to learn new things, if you want to test new things, you will have an innovation mindset, and that's great for you and for the company employing you. That would be, for me, the most important goal for 2025. It's to having the opportunity to develop more the people with the support of all my team.
That sounds great. Look forward to that, Michael. It's been such a pleasure having you with us today. Your insights on leading through change, your reflections, everything that you've just talked about now has been really inspiring. The challenges, particularly with the financial crisis as well, has really been quite something. So thank you. Just personally want to say thank you for sharing stories and your wisdom with us. As we wrap up, we'd just like everyone to remember that change, even though it's challenging, it brings growth and it brings opportunity, which is a really fitting message as we're closing out the year. With that, Michael and I would like to wish everyone a really fantastic holiday season. Is there anything you'd like to add, Michael?
But don't forget, life is beautiful. First,
Indeed.
Change is everywhere. And I wish you and your loved ones a wonderful holiday season and an happy new year. Thank you, Sara.
Thank you, everyone. And until next time, take care.
Take
Goodbye
care.
for now.